The Transportation and Commerce Committee will now be called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Narayan.
Here.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Here.
Alderman Browning.
Present.
Chair Cone.
Present.
Alderwoman Spencer. We have 4 present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Can you just verify, I believe Alderwoman Spencer indicated that she might be trying to join virtually. Can you, okay, just keep an eye out for her, please. We do have a rather full agenda, I believe, for the time that we have allowed. So I'll go ahead and entertain approval of the meeting minutes from April 29th, 2024.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair Cone. We have both minutes, the ones from the 26th and the ones from the 29th, that should have been approved. But I see that on the agenda, they only have the ones from the 29th. But do you both have both sets of minutes?
I have a copy of both on the desk here. Does everyone else have a copy of the meeting minutes from both meetings?
Yes.
Great. I will entertain a motion on the approval of the meeting minutes.
I would move that we approve the minutes from Tuesday, March 26, 2024.
Second.
Okay, we are rocking and rolling here. It's been moved by the alderman from the 9th Ward, seconded by the alderwoman of the 1st Ward, that we approve our meeting minutes from April 29th, 2024 and March 26, 2024. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Spencer. Alderman Narayan.
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderman Browning.
Aye.
Chair Cone.
Aye.
Alderwoman Spencer. We have 4 aye votes.
Thank you. With that motion, you approve the meeting minutes from our past 2 meetings. We have 2 items on board bills for review. The first is Board Bill number 7, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard, and the second is Board Bill number 21, Alderwoman Keys. I believe Alderwoman Clark Hubbard is here to present for Board Bill 7, so we'll go ahead and take that item up. It's been my understanding that today we are just having the initial hearing on Board Bill number 7, not taking a vote, but we'll defer to the Alderwoman for her presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Madam Clerk, can you please read the summary for Board Bill 7?
Board Bill number 7, introduced by Alderwoman Shameen Clark Hubbard, co-sponsors Alderman Odenberg and Alderman Aldred. An ordinance calling for the submission to the electors of the City of St. Louis at the November 5th, 2024 election, a proposal to impose a sales tax of 0.5% on all retail sales made in the City of St. Louis pursuant to Section RSMO 67.547.1 to provide funds to improve the quality, affordability, and access to early childhood education in the City of St. Louis for children aged 5 years and younger, establishing an early childhood education fund for revenues received from the sales tax, and authorizing the City of St. Louis Mental Health Board of Trustees to expend such funds for the purposes hereon, and containing a severability and emergency clause.
Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. So as the chairman just stated, per his direction, since there's no vote today, I'm going to use this as a listening session. I'm not going to spend a lot of time up here talking about the legislation because, one, we clearly have a room full of passionate people who we need to hear from. And then I want to hear from you all, my colleagues, about how you feel about this legislation, taking it to the vote of the people. for this half-cent sales tax. I want to thank the providers and everybody in the room today. Today is National Day Without Child Care. National Day Without Child Care. And I spoke about this on the floor. My unique perspective as not just an older person, but as a mother of 5, soon to be granny, older granny, soon to be granny. I kind of have firsthand experience and perspective, as I said, that might be different from some of my colleagues about the blessing, living the blessing of good child care versus the nightmare of bad child care. And again, I spoke about that, and I'll be looking forward to continuing to speak with you all, again, the direction of the chairman with no vote today. But there is one thing I want to read before we hear from our beloved speakers back here today. And that's to answer this question: who will be able to access the potential revenue? If this makes it to the ballot, and if it gets voted in, the funds may be used for early education and care for children ages 0 to 5, provided by public. As a proud SLPS parent, I'm glad that's first. Public, private, non-for-profit, and for-profit entities licensed exempt, or registered by the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, including preschools, child care centers, nursery schools, public schools, Head Start and early Head Start programs, informal child care providers, and independent and system-affiliated family child care homes, and transportation related to the same. These funds access shall be used to provide and administer programs improving the quality, affordability, and access to early childhood development programs for children aged 5 years and younger, prioritizing children in financial need. I wanted that stated for the public, and I want to share it in the media because I know there was a different narrative shared earlier today. And now I'm looking forward to hearing from the people here who have taken the time out to participate in this very important step of the process, and then hear from you all, my colleagues, as well. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, I know we probably have many people signed up. Do we have anyone online who is here to speak in favor or opposition to Board Bill number 7?
We do.
Can we start with those individuals and maybe alternate between those online and those in the room?
All right. You want to start with Mr. Matt Davis?
I see Mr. Davis online. Yes, please. I'm not swearing anyone in today.
Or you want to swear anyone in?
I'm not planning on swearing anyone today.
Okay. Mr. Davis, you can begin.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Chairman Cohen and members of the committee. My name is Matt Davis. I'm Vice President of the School Board, the Board of Education of the City of St. Louis, and Chair of the Board's Advocacy and Legislation Committee. Earlier today, the board did have a special meeting and passed a resolution opposing Board Bill 7. That the text of that resolution has been circulated to the members of this committee. Hopefully, you all received it via email as well as to the clerk of the board. I'll be very brief. The resolution sort of speaks for itself. There's a couple of concerns that the board has. One, in terms of the transparency and accountability of where these funds will go. The Board of Education similarly opposed Proposition R, which passed in 2020, which also included money for early childhood education to be distributed by the Mental Health Board. It appears that none of that money has actually gone directly into services. It hasn't gone to add capacity or increase wages for child care workers in the city, which is really where the crisis remains. Instead, because of the limitations that the Mental Health Board has based on the statute that authorizes them to collect the Children's Services tax, it's only diverted to nonprofits who have been in a consulting capacity. So it's really unclear where that money's gone, and more importantly, whether that's been effective. So to increase the money by tenfold at this point seems to be a little premature. In addition, we also do oppose the addition of a regressive sales tax. We are also a taxing entity and are very much always concerned about the level of taxation with the community to make sure that we are being as efficient and frugal as we possibly can when asking taxpayers to support these education systems. And so adding a regressive sales tax is only going to affect the most vulnerable in our communities. It's going to push sales taxes, especially where there are special tax rates, which are in many parts of the city, especially where there's retail, to be some of the highest in the state. So those are all contained in our resolution, and that's the reasons for our opposition. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any members of the committee with questions? Alderwoman Schweitzer? No. Okay. Or Vice Chair Spencer?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Did the board have a list of written questions or things like that, or matters of transparency that they are looking for at this time?
In terms of, well, I think the concern is that this is being branded as something for early childhood education. And that may mean something different to the school board than it may mean to the child care community. But for us, the Board of Education does have, St. Louis Public Schools has what we consider to be universal pre-K for ages 3 and 4. There are plenty of seats available for those interested in our pre-K program, which we are very proud of, and we think it's one of the most successful things in the city. As far as I know, we're the only city in the state of Missouri that has a program like that. In many places around the state and in St. Louis County, there are pre-K programs through the public schools that charge tuition. This is part of the desegregation agreement, but it's very important to note that this is something that is being funded through general revenue, through property sales taxes, and it's being administered by the Board of Education. It's available for everybody in the city, regardless of income, as long as you're a city resident, and it's being led by certificated teachers that are members of American Federation Teachers Local 420. It's an incredibly high quality program. And in terms of what we look for, in terms of what accountability means in early childhood education, we think that that sets the standard. And there doesn't seem to be any sort of standards for that money that is going to be invested in those type of facilities or programs, or that it even can be. At this point, because certainly the restrictions placed on the Proposition R money, that money has not gone into adding seats or capacity.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. If you do have a list of ways in which you're looking for transparency, I think it'd be helpful for this committee to understand. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions from the committee of Mr. Davis? Seeing none, we can move on to the next speaker.
Next, we have Dr. Mary Crockett Smith.
Good afternoon. I'm Dr. Mary Crockett Smith. I have been an educator for the last 30 plus years, and I have been in providing child care for the last 24 years. I have taught in public education for 12, 13 years, and I know I look young, but I have been in child care for 24 years in the St. Louis area. I wanted to let you know why I left public education to come to early education. I was receiving students as a math teacher unprepared, coming from all areas, St. Louis City, Riverview, etc. Children were academically unprepared. And I felt like after I finished my dissertation at St. Louis University, I figured that I needed to start at the beginning of the road. If I wanted children to have the same competitive academic opportunities As the children in Clayton and Ladue, I needed to do something different. That's what my study was about. So I left public education because I wanted to make the difference and began to academically, developmentally, and socially, emotionally develop children to be prepared to sit and be competitive to get in schools like SLU and WashU. And I've been doing that for 24 years. The difference in early education is very clear. It's a labor-intensive market. It takes a ratio that public education doesn't take. Mr. Davis was speaking, but when we continue about what happens in public education, they are lower-performing schools and they are not preparing children, period. Read the record. We need to make sure that we are getting the most important commodity next to children that are talented teachers like myself, willing to come out and prepare them for the war of getting into college, being prepared, being a productive citizen, and coming back to the city of St. Louis to make the difference. This 5.5% tax increase is something we cannot afford to do. It is significant to determine how a child was going to end their life and begin to make the differences in the community. We are determined in early education to prepare children to read, to write, to be able to control themselves, to developmentally be able to be academically competitive. And the only way we do that is making sure that we have the right teachers in the right place. I thank you. Are there any questions?
That's my line. Are there any questions from the committee?
Not this time.
Seeing none, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That's the goal, Alderwoman. We're moving as quickly as we can here.
We have online Mr. Ray Cummings.
You're on mute, Mr. Cummings.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I thank you for your service as democratically elected officials. And I'd just like to testify in opposition to Board Bill 7. Local 420 and St. Louis Public Schools are the original drum majors who expanded early childhood pre-K beginning at age 3 in the city of St. Louis. Working together, we created over 2,000 additional quality seats so that today every SLPS elementary school has one or more quality pre-K classrooms. Nevertheless, we do truly understand our need for more quality early childhood education opportunities. However, I believe this board bill is not the best way to go about it for several reasons. First, the Board of Education is the only democratic organization in the city of St. Louis that has the statutory responsibility of educating children according to state law. The same Board of Education that fellow voting taxpayers support in this effort of educating is evidenced by them approving the largest tax hike in history several years ago. Furthermore, the voters recently passed Proposition S to support St. Louis public schools by a whopping 87% of the vote. Therefore, it is imperative that this Democratic committee, as well as the democratic institution of the Board of Aldermen, show the same level of support that the voter taxpayers have shown for the Board of Education by considering St. Louis Public Schools' proposed solution to this problem first. Second, taxpayers expect public service to prevent waste of resources due to duplication of services. In the area of early childhood curriculum and instructional materials, the St. Louis Public School already has what is considered the gold standard. Board Bill 7 in its present form, in fact, will waste money duplicating what SLPS already has available to share across the community. Finally, this board bill will raise revenue by increasing sales taxes, which are regressive. If this goes into effect, St. Louis will become a member of the highest sales tax club in America. The overall negative effects of this is self-explanatory. In addition, there are other cities such as Cincinnati that use a much more appropriate financing source than a regressive tax. As a voting taxpayer, I request.
You went on mute, Mr. Cummings.
Sorry.
You went out on mute when you said you're a taxpayer requesting.
Thank you. As a voting taxpayer, I request that we complete the following before moving forward with this board bill. Number one, analyze the results of a thorough audit of Prop R funds to determine whether these folks who already were given public money have been good stewards of those funds. Taxpayers deserve transparency and accountability. Number two, consult with the Board of Education to create a plan that uses the community expectations for early childhood education gathered by the board during approximately 6 or more town halls and focus groups conducted to develop their blueprint citywide education plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cummings. Madam, any questions from the committee of Mr. Cummings? Vice Chair Spencer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Cummings, have you supplied that list of questions to the committee in writing? I think it'd be helpful if you did. I'm sorry if I missed it.
I will forward it to the clerk.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Cummings, for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next, we have Ms. Lisa Shear.
Good afternoon. I'm Lisa Shear. I'm a child care director in the St. Louis, the Baden community, or neighborhood, if you will. We've had a child care center there for 25 years. I don't really need this because I'm loud because I work with children. And we pick up and drop off kids that go to public school. And let me tell you a little bit about how licensing looks like. St. Louis Public School isn't licensed. That's the lowest standard. So when people are talking about quality, it's a little lost on me because quality looks more like an accredited center. And it's a center where the standard's not here, the standard's not here, it's here. And these are the centers represented here, okay? We want more for our children. We're located in underserved areas. When you say you can't afford half a cent, we can't afford not to. The neighborhood where I'm at, our children don't even have access to a large grocery store, okay? So we have to teach and educate at a level where we're educating about how you eat, how you're treating other people, right? When we talked about Prop R, and Gloria helped us get that passed, those kind of things, we are seeing I'm a for-profit center and I do see that, so I'm not sure what Mr. Davis was talking about. That funding does go to my center. We have a therapist in our center twice a week that works with our kids because we have kids who are exposed to lots of violence and lots of trauma and they need things. And so they go into another area where they can talk about those and they can work through play. So, I don't know the logistics of all of that, but I know that our center is a for-profit center and we're very grateful for that and our parents are very grateful for that because trauma for our kids is a real thing. I'm going to tell you one more thing. We have this very small amount of time from ages 2 to 6 where children learn lifelong things. They learn about how to get along versus fighting and killing people. If we can teach them how to use their words and how to socially, emotionally regulate themselves now, in 18, 20 years, we have a safer city. If we can teach them how to eat and that food is, energy for our body, then we have a better health system in 20 years. If we teach them to love learning and make it fun for them, and they're also learning and they're engaged, and then 20 years we have a better turnout for them graduating going on to second education or later. This isn't me saying this. These are things we know. These are factual truths. And we have an opportunity to be able to do those things. And yet we don't fund education like we should. When you even think about the pandemic, that we're all over it and nobody's wearing masks hardly anymore. But without childcare, how many people were working when we had to shut down? We were mandated in the city, right? And we had to shut down, and our families had nowhere to go. If we can't fund this and we can't pay our teachers more, a competitive wage where, they're not going to Starbucks or Amazon, then we just are continuing this cycle of not serving those children and families who are already underserved. Thank you.
Thank you. If you could stay at the podium just in case there are questions from folks, I'd appreciate it. Are there any questions? There may not be any, but.
I like questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to, you said that you are a for-profit entity?
Yes, we are.
Thank you. I just couldn't understand exactly what you were saying.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
They had said that it was only for nonprofit, and I do believe that bill was set up like that. And so what they did was they partnered with for-profits and nonprofits. So we do see that funding, not like in a check or that kind of thing, but we do have coaches and we have someone who comes in, a therapist who works with our children.
All right. Any other questions? No. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I do want to just acknowledge we're almost at a halfway point here. Madam Clerk, how many additional folks are signed up to speak?
$17.
Okay, so if we could keep it to about 2 minutes for each, I would appreciate it.
What is the halfway point?
No, we have another committee hearing at 3 o'clock, and STL TV was unable to accommodate an evening meeting.
Good afternoon. My name is Sandra Keeley, and I'm the executive
I'm
director.
sorry, Ms. Keeley. We have to go in the order.
Oh, okay. So I thought I heard you call my name.
No, ma'am.
Okay, no problem. I'm ready.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Keeley. Madam Clerk.
Next, we have Ms. Karen Lucy.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
I am Karen Lucy, the Executive Director of Cornerstone Center for Early Learning. Cornerstone is in the Shaw neighborhood, and we have been operating as a non-for-profit for about 55 years. I am a lifetime educator. I started off as a teacher with St. Louis Public Schools and found my love for early childhood for many reasons. The importance, of course, because of the fundamental necessity for everything, and you heard some of the claims earlier, crime rates, success for the children as they continue as lifelong learners. It is just so important to have these children involved, social skills. The pandemic has caused additional problems for children that already suffer trauma every day. At Cornerstone alone, from January 1 through October 31, 2023, we provided 79,550 diapers at no cost to our families. We provided 2,150 hours of care for every single student, 645 nutritious meals and snacks served to every child, 33 zip codes represented, 15 children prioritized and enrolled who were or are in foster care, and 38 children who received on-site therapies at no cost to their family. In the past 4 years, we've had 4 teachers that have been unhoused, and we have helped them get where they need to be. And I just want to offer a tail end offer what Mr. Davis said about the sales tax affecting those with less financial means. We are seeing in this city, and I was raised in this city, my family, I'm the baby out of 10 children. My family started off in the projects. We are seeing right now 4,000 leave our city every day. Are we willing to continue to have that happen? And the fundamentals here start with early childhood. I see families all the time. They're on wait lists. They can't get in any centers, quality centers, and then elementary schools are difficult, and it's just difficult for them. So what do? We have all these incentives for adults, young adults to come in the city, but then we forget about what the need really is. It starts with early childhood education. They're leaving in droves. They're going to the county. And if we really want to make this strong, successful city, we need to start with early childhood. Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Marissa Brooks.
Hello, my name is Marissa Brooks. I have a background in early childhood education and marriage and family therapy, currently doing community health worker work. So I hear a lot of privileged people saying that a sales tax is regressive and will hurt the poor. To all of you who fit this description, I have one question. Did you ask the voters? Because I did, because we did. And 75.5% said that they prefer to pay up to 3/4 cent tax increase to pay for better K-12 access, for parents to be able to go to work, and for improved public safety as a result. The alternative is more than we citizens can bear. And yet, it's the reality we face every day. Rising childcare costs in the thousands of dollars per month range, thousands. Highly limited access to early childhood care that results in year-long wait lists and hundreds of families without access to childcare at all. Parents are forced to stay home and struggling to keep up with the cost of groceries and utilities because they can barely afford to work. The small but vocal group that opposes this bill uses all of their energy to attack those actively working for change without proposing anything as big or effective. In fact, they have barely made any progress at all. They have long shared misinformation and misrepresented who is behind this campaign, dismissing the very real community members driving our work, and deprioritizing children by stalling progress. Enough is enough. It may not be perfect, but it's a lot better than what we have now. And the public is ready and enthusiastically willing to vote for it. As elected officials, your job is to listen to the public and to make things better for your constituent. Please,
just FYI, you're at time.
Please trust your voters to decide what we want for St. Louis City. Please trust the democratic process more than bully tactics. Thank you.
Are there questions from the committee? No, thank you very much for your time.
Next, we have, I'm not sure if there's 3 people who signed up in one box in opposition, Mr. and Mrs. Miguel and Carla Alexander.
So this bill isn't about the welfare of our children. It is all about gaining access to public dollars for private use. Leaving children behind is just what the charters and privatizers are doing with this proposal. 10 out of 10 people we ask about taxing our hard-earned dollars are against funded private entities. Unlike politicians that would like to defund Social Security, health care, or any government safety net for poor families that need assistance to stay above water, to flee St. Louisans' tax dollars, to pay for something that's not fully public is a bill we cannot support. We need a voting rights bill, a George Floyd bill, and so many other bills that should be voted on in the presidential race in November. We are asking for our elected officials to support us and vote no on this proposal.
We would also like to say, this being on the ballot for city and county, we encountered going to the grocery store the other day. Came out, young man asked us, "You want to sign a petition for education for children, to support education?" Well, what is it about? Well, I don't know. Okay, so is it for private, public, charter? What's going on? Well, it's for public, private, and maybe charter. So we're saying this. This tactic has been a misleading tactic. It's used throughout our state and our country. And we ask our elected officials to stop the misleading things that are going on with trying to get money and taking it away from public schools. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there questions from the committee?
Next, we have Ms. Gloria Nolan. In opposition.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Okay, as mentioned by Lisa Shear, I used to work for WePower. I served as the campaign coordinator for Prop R on the 2020 ballot initiative. And at that time, we won $2.3 million for early childhood education. I was a part of the inaugural Power Building Academy. I was a part of the Tomorrow Builders Fellowship. And while I was in the Power Building Academy, we consistently called out the Board of Education to ensure that there was accountability and transparency in the budgeting process. We used hashtags like Show Me the Budget. And in the EC Fellowship, we developed a playbook. We promised the voters that we would provide competitive wages and benefits to child care workers. We would increase equitable access to professional credentials, and that we would implement a local quality assurance report, a QAR system. Those are things just to name a few. And to date, WePower and its newly formed quarterbacking nonprofit, the Gateway Early Childhood Alliance, or GECA, hasn't delivered on any of those promises as far as what's available to the public. And they certainly haven't shown anyone the budget. WePower and their affiliates have been working hard at requesting funding from every stream available, starting with their funder, the Opportunity Trust, then moving on to Proposition R. They've asked for ARPA funding. Now they're asking for this regressive sales tax. They're asking for RAM settlements funds, and they're even rolling baby strollers through the halls of Congress, asking for more funding to undermine democratically run public education.
You're at time.
Everything that has been said sounds lovely, but nothing has been proven, nothing has been shown, and we have to stop this now. There is power in giving power to the people and making sure that we do not let nonprofits with self-interest and big financial backers run our city.
Thank you.
Vote no. Thank you.
Next, we have Ms. Paula Vickers in support.
Hi, everyone. I'm Paula Vickers, and I was actually that parent that pushed my stroller through Congress because there is a crisis at all levels, local, state, and federal, where funding that existed before is coming to an end, and without stabilization at all levels, it will be a crisis that harms us all. Now I'll get to what I wrote. My name is Paula Brayon Vickers, and I'm a resident of the 12th Ward, former educator and social worker, and mom to 2 toddlers. Instead of using my time to go over the very real facts, such as ECE having the greatest return on investment, being a very real solution to public safety, supporting the workforce and women's rights, and best preparing children for later K-12 success, I would like to instead share my very real lived experiences of a single mom in North City, St. Louis. When I first became a mom, many people would tell me, you have to get on a wait list if you are going to go back to work. I became pregnant at the end of 2019. And around spring of 2020, we all know what happened. Those wait lists that were then 6 and 8 months long became years long. Ultimately, I ended up on a wait list for 2 years. This caused extreme harm to myself and my family and all those that were trying to support me, keep my career, and provide a safe space and development for my children. I was encouraged to move out of the city to position my family where more resources were. This would have meant leaving behind my family home of over 70 years, which housed 4 generations. I refused. As things stand, having a baby would mean that as the woman, I had to lose everything else, including my career, which I worked so hard for. Eventually, I would end up a single mother raising 2 children. My 2-income household became a 1-income household, and even though I am a 1-income household, the threshold for subsidy in Missouri is incredibly low, meaning if you are a middle-class family in St. Louis, you do not qualify from any support of funding. I hope we can begin to move past these us versus them and them versus us headlines that are ultimately the tensions of adults that do nothing but keep our children behind and our families vulnerable. As a city, we have to move past old ideas like mom should just stay home, or I raise my kids, why should I care about helping someone else raise theirs? Last year when...
You're at time.
I'm gonna take whoever is next time for the...
This is only the first hearing, by the way, so there will be other opportunities for you all to speak, but I appreciate you respecting the time boundaries that were set. Madam Clerk.
Next, we have Ms. Gwen Cogshill in opposition.
My name is Gwendolyn Cox. I'm the 10th Ward. I'm not in opposition to child care being done, but not on my dime. I had an accident and I had to get driven in an ambulance. I took my wrap off my head. When I got discharged, the man asked me $250 for a copay from riding in the ambulance. I can't afford another dime to come out of my taxes. 17 years of driving my car, I had to get a new SUV because my nephew bought a lemon that the engine went out in 6 months. So I gave him my car and I had to purchase another one at $3,500 for sales tax and my sales tax and city of St. Louis. I can't afford another penny when I go to the store and spend $100 and I got 3 bags. I'm sorry, not on my dime. When you all split up the Board of Aldermen, I didn't like it when Ms. Young put it on the ballot because they had people on the poll asking people, did they want better control over the Board of Aldermen? Do you want to see better things done? Then vote for this. Manipulating people, had young Black people out there saying this. And my thing is, voter turnout is an indicator of political power, influence, and engagement. Voters allow people to choose voter allows people to choose their leaders and voice their opinion. The problem with that is that just in April, we had 10,000 people when MSD was coming out for an increase. We only had 10,000 people to come up. I do not want to use the voter process for people who can manipulate the system and get organized to put things on the ballot, to use this to get their way. I don't like that. And the fact of the matter is when I look at money, and I hope this $37 million and all this money, billions that's coming in the city of St. Louis, North St. Louis, I believe is going to look the same way when all this money is gone, because I know that most of the TIF money is going downtown. And I think you told me that when I listened to the budget committee. So what I'm saying, we got a recreational center that we want to get reopened in the 10th Ward, and that's what I want my tax dollars to go to. I can't even afford bacon. Yeah, I can't afford bacon. So please say no so we can have bacon for breakfast.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Next, we have in support Ms. Lindsay Nobiet.
Thank you, Chairman, and distinguished aldermanic members of the Transportation and Commerce Committee today for giving members of St. Louis City a chance to speak on my favorite topic, which is childcare. My name is Lindsay Noblot, and I'm the Director of Advocacy and Partnerships at Southside Early Childhood Center. I'm a resident of St. Louis City, Ward 6, and I'm a newly single parent. And I have a daughter that is 5 years old. She's been attending Southside since she was 12 weeks old. Southside Early Childhood Center is located in the 7th Ward. It is the oldest child care facility west of Mississippi. We have been serving women, children, and babies and family and with their child care needs since 1886. That is almost 150 years. We know what we're doing. In addition, we are a federal Head Start and early Head Start facility. We primarily serve a large majority of immigrant and refugee families and women and children that are going through some of the most horrific, traumatic events, like being unhoused or going through unspeakable domestic violence situations. I am here today in favor of Board Bill 7, and any bill for that matter, that helps take the incredible, huge burden of the cost of childcare off the backs of parents and caregivers. I am especially thrilled that the bill opens up funding for children 0 to 5. I couldn't be happier that in recent years, SLPS and others across the city have opened up more seats. Thank you. However, the largest price tag for childcare for families is for children aged 0 to 3. Currently, there is basically no public funds to support children in childcare aged 0 to 3 in the city of St. Louis. Right now, parents in the city are paying sometimes close to $20,000 per year for their child to attend high-quality care and obtain a spot for their infant or toddler. Seeing that more than half of the residents in the city of St. Louis are led by single-family households, this cost of care is basically not possible for a huge number of residents. The majority of children in care, 0 to 3, are being cared for in small family homes or child care centers. Unless I am incorrect,
You're at time.
SLPS, or any charter for that matter, has no plan to serve children under the age of 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there questions from the committee? No, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Ben Conover in opposition.
Hi, guys. Hey, Chairman Cohn, Vice Chair Spencer, and members of the Transportation and Commerce Committee. I'm here today to speak strongly in opposition to Board Bill 7. I'd like to start by saying that I hope this committee and the bill sponsors have noticed the numerous attacks on SLPS, which have been leveled by those in support of this bill. This bill is a naked attempt by known proponents of education to trick the public into funding their and their friends' consulting operations under the guise of childcare or early childhood education. Let's be clear, the funds from this bill cannot go towards increasing the affordability or the accessibility of early childhood education. None of the state statutes that pertain to this bill allow for the funds to be spent towards either purpose. This claim is not unfamiliar to us, as it's identical to the claims in 2020 around Prop R, that it could be used towards the affordability and accessibility of care. And much like 2020, when folks came out and called out that lie, the groups involved in this walked back their claims. This time we're just a little earlier in the process. Now, there's a claim that there's a bill at the state level that could fix this. I've not been able to find it, and no bill has been cited by any of the organizations. And as you all know, the legislation said the session ends on Friday. Now, it's possible that We Power and some of the proponents know more than I do about this, since they employ the same lobbyist as Rex Singfield does. Lobbyists who are constantly attacking our city and our public education system. I find it highly unlikely that such substantial changes will move before the end of. I don't know what's going on with the mic, sorry. I'll go to Prop R. Prop R funds are a good reference point for what might happen with these funds. Since others have made the point, I'll make a small one. One organization that's listed to have received Prop R funds listed the program that's funded by those funds as simply the Mental Health Board. They have received nearly $300,000 in funds. I'm not sure how that program's helping anybody, since that's a reference to a board, but here we are.
You're at time, Ben.
Thank you. I'll skip the sales tax portion, but thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have in support Ms. Sheila Parago.
Pargo.
I'm sorry, Parago.
Yes. Sheila Pargo, and I'm here as a concerned citizen. My children are adults, and I am the proponent of early childhood education because I raised them. And I raised them well because I love them. So my position here is that because I also love our democratic process, that we allow the citizens of St. Louis to show how much they value and love their children and our democratic process. So I'm in favor of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
Any
from the
questions?
committee? Seeing that, thank you, Sheila Pargo.
Next, we have in opposition Mr. Matthew Vitale.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Matt Vitale, and I am a parent of 2 children that are in the pre-K SLPS program. So as mentioned before, all children aged 3 through 5 in the city of St. Louis have access to a quality pre-K program. I'm a witness to it. I have 2 children in it. They're thriving, and it has been such a gift, and is honestly the highlight of living in the city for my family. It's opened up economic opportunities for both me and my wife to seek employment. We know our children are learning well, being well taken care of, and it's so great. And again, so I think 0 through 3 and 3 through 5 have got to be separated if this is going to be a discussion. As mentioned before, 0 through 3 is where the costs are way higher. There's a lower child to parent teacher ratio rate. So it's a lot more difficult to secure access to seats in those programs, and I think that there should be opportunity to discuss. My problem is that the organizations that have been supporting against this bill, if you look at We Power's action playbook, which is like 70 pages long of an action playbook for addressing early childhood education, they don't even mention St. Louis Public School offers universal 3 to 5 care for children. If you look at the St. Louis Pre-K Cooperative website, they talk about all the charter schools that they operate with. Again, they don't mention SLPS pre-K's program. So I want to know how many children are they referring to SLPS? How many folks are they getting in those seats? Because again, that's what this is supposed to be all about, access to education. We have access to seats within SLPS. Let's get children there. Let's do it here at the board. Let's do it within these organizations. But again, I think we should vote no on this bill, because this bill, again, we need to focus on addressing the need from 0 to 3, and we need to support SLPS's program for children 3 to 5. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Next, we have in support, Ms. Karen Greer.
Okay, and just a note on kind of administration here. We have time for 2 more speakers. So if the groups that are around, I guess, want to send up your best closers here, that would be wonderful. And then we'll save a few minutes at the end just for housekeeping items. So
We've already had the speaker. You've already been here.
She's going to give me her time to finish my statement. So last year when my son turned 3, I was eager to enter him into the lottery for Sticks Early Childhood Center. I myself have worked in St. Louis public schools delivering programs, and from these experiences, I can say I love and believe in SLPS. SLPS ECE spaces have wait lists as well. Many parents that I speak to are nervous to send their 3-year-olds in the same spaces as 10-year-olds through their neighborhood schools. Spaces like Sticks are dedicated to ECE age children only. So for us, we're talking 0 to 5, which is great for both the children to have that focus in nurturing and education, but also a peace of mind for a mom like me. My son didn't get in space last year, but as of noon today, he has a space for the coming year, and I am excited to be an SLPS parent. But the point for access for all families is not there. For my 2-year-old, there are no public spaces that serve this age. 0 to 36 months are said to be the greatest points in brain development. This is an opportunity for what it could look like to invest in 0 to 5 by improving quality and affordability and create more access for families. This investment can set our babies up for success in preschool and potentially create more dedicated ECE spaces in our public school district. This collaboration can be a bold and progressive step to ending the preschool to prison pipeline and potential attractors for families to return to St. Louis to rebuild our city's population. Again, I ask you to move this Board Bill 7 forward so that voters can decide if this is something we want for St. Louis City. Thank you.
thank you.
Are we taking one more in opposition?
One more, yes. Thank
Next,
you.
we have Mr. Byron. I can't see it. Clemens.
Do we want to take this Board Bill 21?
I want to thank the chair and all the members of the committee. Thank you for your service. We really appreciated democratically elected folks in their positions. I'm here to speak against Board Bill 7, but I'm an advocate for pre-K. Mr. Cummings said that very clearly. We helped get the DSEG money that got $56 million to expand pre-K once upon a time. Also wrote a grant for $450,000 to do it. There are things that could happen if we talk to one another, but they're not happening now. The origin of this bill, Board Bill 7, had the fingerprints of We Power Opportunity Trust on it when it was submitted to the Mental Health Board. The same group passed property tax proposal called Prop R. The public has not had any transparency over those funds. I have for the committee copies of something acquired under a Sunshine Act about, it's a very vacuous document. It doesn't clearly say where the money goes. Recently, the education reporter of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch released a mental health board request. That's what I'm talking about. It just has a list of not-for-profits. It has dollar amounts totaling more than $2 million without further explanation. It's apparent that one not-for-profit is funding other not-for-profits, and heard today also for-profits, but appears none of the money actually provided any more seats or any employees or salaries. All the money appears to go to administrative costs for professional development associated with We Power Opportunity Trust. Prop R funds are derived by property taxes that normally go to public schools, firefighters, first responders, and filling potholes. The next We Power proposal is based on sales tax. Sales taxes are the most regressive taxes and hurt families living in poverty or on fixed income the most. The very families this purports to serve would suffer the greatest impact on their pocketbook buying food, clothing, or a car. Redistributing public tax dollars to be controlled by well-funded not-for-profits seems short-sighted. We know that Opportunity Trust has upwards of $60 million in their coffers right now. Perhaps they should use some of their money to directly fund these not-for-profits. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the committee of our last speaker? Seeing none, thank you very much for your time.
With your permission, I'll leave these with the...
Please do. You can leave them with the clerk. That is all we have time for this afternoon. I do want to express my thanks on behalf of the committee for everyone showing up today to talk about this important issue pending before the committee. As mentioned, this is not the only hearing that we will be having on the bill. There will be further discussions. I do want to just ask a question. Is there anyone here that is with the Mental Health Board on staff or on their board present today? I don't see anyone. Okay. So do want to continue the conversation, but unfortunately we have a very busy board of alderpersons this session. We're in our budget planning session, which has taken up a lot of time during the days this week and next week. So we're kind of flexing a little bit with our committee schedules and also with trying to be respectful of STL-TV and their time. They're actually over budget with respect to overtime, so we can't really do evening meetings at the moment either. So we're trying to squeeze these committee hearings into what time slots are available. So I do want to just acknowledge that so you all don't think that we're being disrespectful for those of you that showed up and didn't have the opportunity to speak, because we do value you. It's just that we have some limitations of our own at this time in place. So, but thank you all for coming today, and we'll continue the conversation. And with that, I'll turn it over to the chair to close out on her bill. And
okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Thank you for taking this time today to hear from both sides in the middle, it sounds like, quite frankly, to me, on some of the testimonies. There was, here's the unfortunate thing. The money that this fund was set up for children in the city of St. Louis should not be connected to people's personal differences, different organizations, different things that were named that are sometimes just shared that are just quite frankly not true. And I know from working with you all down here at the Board of Aldermen that you all do your due diligence and find out the facts. Here, when somebody gets up here and it turns into a back and forth, that becomes a distraction to what we're really up here trying to do. And what we're really up here trying to do, which I heard mentioned, was work together to get this on the ballot to let our constituency bases decide. I have constituents here you see today that said that they're against it because they want the bacon. But at the end of the day, I also have constituents and child care providers that are here that are in favor. So if you want to be fair to your constituent base, we can't legislate on social media. We can't legislate by how somebody tags us. We can't legislate by misinformation. We have to do our part down here, and I'm excited about this opportunity to sit down with all of you again, to sit down with 420, to sit down with SLPS. As a proud SLPS parent, I don't think there should be a problem on whatever side of this to come to the middle. This is still the process part where a change can happen. A real change, a substance change, not just a change because you don't like somebody or you don't like an organization. A real change on behalf of what these finances, period, will do for early childhood education in the city of St. Louis. So again, thank you for taking this time. I want to share with both sides here that your testimonies can be shared. You can share them with the clerk, your written testimonies if you had them down. I encourage you to share them with the clerk so that we can have them all within our drives and be able to read them and be ready for whenever Mr. Chairman is ready for the next committee hearing. So again, here, we know the value. I said it again. As a proud mother of 5 and about to be an alder granny, I'm going to get on y'all nerves with that because I'm about to be a grandmama. But I want you all to know and hear the passion of what that means, raising a child here in the city of St. Louis. So thank you for the time, Mr. Chairman, and I look forward to reconnecting with all of you and anyone here in the room and anyone listening about this effort, hopefully, to get this on the ballot in November. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. And the Alderwoman of the 10th and I kind of share the same commitment to public engagement on these and are always happy to continue these conversations to get as much feedback as possible. We do have one other board bill that's on our agenda today, and the Alderwoman of the 11th Ward has asked to have that heard. So we'll go ahead and take up item number 2, which is board bill number 21. Alderwoman Spencer, if you could, actually Alderwoman Keys is here.
Oh.
Great. Alderwoman, we're over time, so if you could make your presentation quick, I would very much appreciate it.
Certainly. And I apologize, I am not well today, and talking causes me a lot of coughing. If I could please just have the clerk to read the summary for me.
If I may, Mr. Chair, the summary is 2 pages long. So I think that may be really a difficult task, but with the permission of the sponsor of the bill, given her current health status, I could summarize the bill for the committee really quickly.
I'm just going to read the summary as she asks. Board Bill Number 21, introduced by Alderwoman Laura Keys, an ordinance recommended by the Board of Public Service, City of St. Louis, establishing multiple public works and improvement projects on Loughborough Avenue Bridge, Grand Drive Bridge, Dr. Martin Luther King Drive, 4th Street, and Washington Avenue within the City of St. Louis, and containing an emergency clause.
Thank you for reading the abridged version, Madam Clerk. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Alderwoman?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank the committee for your indulgence. And I do apologize for the delay in getting here to talk about this bill. So this bill is actually on behalf of the mayor's office, and it has to do with traffic in various areas across the city. And again, I do apologize. It's difficult. My breathing is off today.
You're fine.
And so that being read, the summary being read, I would ask for your consideration and do pass recommendation of Board Bill 21.
Thank you, Alderwoman from the 11th. I appreciate it. And your condition today being here before us. I know that these are projects that have also been recommended public service through their own evaluation process as well. I know a fair amount, but limited about the items before us. If you all have questions, happy to entertain those.
No, I'll just add, Mr. Chair, that there are 4 projects in general, with the Loughborough Bridge over Union Pacific Railroad, the Grand Bridge over the Metrolink and Forest Park Parkway, Dr. Martin Luther King Drive, and the Shodo Street, Washington Avenue multimodal project. So there's 4 projects in total, some of which, the last of which is in my ward. I'm very excited about it. This is a matching opportunity. The city, I think, is putting $3 million into, essentially $23 million of essential work. And so I commend the sponsor and the mayor's office on getting this forward.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion on Board Bill Number 21.
I move that we pass Board Bill 21 with a due pass recommendation.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman of the 8th Ward, seconded by the Alderwoman of the 1st Ward, that we pass Board Bill 21 out with a due pass recommendation. There's been a request for previous roll. Is there any objection to previous roll? Hearing no
Who
objection.
requested previous roll? I didn't hear it.
Do we have a roll?
Oh,
No, I would object because I wasn't here.
Oh, okay. Well, there's been an objection to previous roll. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderwoman Spencer.
Aye.
Alderman Orion.
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Aye.
Alderman Browning.
Aye.
Chair Cone.
Aye.
We have 5 aye votes.
With that vote, you sustain the motion to pass Board Bill 21 out with a due pass recommendation. We do not have any further business on the agenda for today. We are already over time for the next committee hearing, so I do appreciate everyone's indulgence as we go through the agenda. And with that, all alderpersons are present, and I will entertain a motion to.
So moved.
Is there any objection to previous roll? Hearing no objection, we are adjourned.